Thank you. Now, good evening, everyone, and my apologies. First, there won't be a presentation that will be shared on the screen, so I'm afraid for the next 15 to 20 minutes, you'll be stuck with my face on the screen. So a very brief introduction to myself first. My name is Eddie Wu. I was born and raised in Shanghai. About 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, I spent 4 years in New York, first attending a business school and then working there. That was when myself and two of my friends in New York started our business. And in the past 7 to 8 years, we've been helping families in China to apply to schools in North America, primarily in the States, first high schools and middle schools, and then college altogether. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of students attending all kinds of schools in the US every year. And we work only with a small fraction of that. So whatever I say today, I cannot speak for all of those. I can only talk about the families that we work with. And I'll try to make my presentation and this sharing more anecdotal, based on true stories and our experiences with the families here. I will try to address the following topics. I'll try to introduce how we work with our clients and what kind of support we provide. I want to go into a little depth of why our clients seek education in the US. And then I will talk about some of the messaging practices that we have seen that have been proven effective in reaching out to families in China. And then a very brief discussion or my own thoughts on how the Chinese families are coping with this pandemic. Now, as I said, we started this 8 years ago, starting from the three of us, the three partners now, and we have grown into a team of 20 staff members. We help on average every year close to 100 families applying to all kinds of schools. We help our clients who are seeking to provide international education to their children. And most of them who walk through our doors have a clear mind of that they want to go to the United States. And actually, some of them, a small fraction, have other preferences or would want to have an open door policy, so to speak, about other geographies. What we can do to help them, I say there are three main reasons that we are useful to our clients. First of all, to be an international student is a very challenging experience. And most of that is caused by information asymmetry and the language barrier. Not that everyone knows, I'm sure many of you do. The Chinese language is very different from all the Western ones. Not only do we have a very different syntax and grammar system, the writing system is completely different. So learning English is actually pretty hard. Well, that can be said. That's also true for some of the other Asian countries, for example, Korea and Japan. For most of the families in China, understand the application process, knowing what it means to go to a foreign country, to the US to study, takes a great deal of learning and efforts. Now, on top of that, we also help our clients smooth out the entire process of application to provide logistics and translation support for them to get ready for the personal statements, for the interviews, and most importantly, for them to be able to be confidently adjust to the cultural shock and to the new system while they're there in the United States. We personally accompany our families to go on campus visits every fall. Unfortunately, not this year. Now, why do our clients want to go to the US for high school? Now, I believe Susie is very thorough in explaining that, and I want to share a little more details. when we say a quality education, when we say they want to try an education that focuses on character building rather than test taking, we're talking about a very real challenge. Now, just to give you a sense of how test taking focused the system in China is, not only is the college admissions test, yeah, you can take that once every year, but how many years do you have in your life? And um, because of that, because most of the education starting from primary school is focused on all kinds of tests along the way, all the way leading up to the Gaokao, which is the college application tests. And students are overwhelmed by the amount of homework assignments, the amount of test prep work, and to the point that many of Chinese high school students don't even take PE classes, and they save the PE classes. They appear on their schedule, but they will be used for test prep purposes. And that's why many students, many actually feel burned out very early on at middle school or high schools. And that's why many Chinese students, as long as they can, would want to have an alternative to this test-taking focused approach. Now, just to be clear, that when they go to the States, yes, they probably will see the huge contrast between the two systems, and probably they will still be very test-taking focused themselves compared to many of their peers in the US, but still don't have the pressure from outside for them to only focus on test taking is good enough for them. And also, you have to understand, for Chinese applicants, when they finally go to college, when they finally apply to a college in the US, the competition is still heightened for these applicants, because we all understand that the college and universities in the US, when they recruit, they put different applicants in their own pools. And for the Chinese pool, the competition is really intense. Now, that's the second reason why Chinese families are seeking education, high school education in the US, because they see that that as a springboard for college application. Not only does that provide a good environment for them to polish their English skills, but also they are able to get used to the cultural environment, understand the education system, and also prepare their confidence for the application. And all those combined will mean they have a much higher chance of being admitted to a good college in the US. And that's probably what all parents care about the most once they are in the US. Now, some of our clients, on top of all the reasons that I've mentioned, see a third layer of benefit, which is a smooth transition to immigration. And to move to a different country is a challenging experience, and especially for them to take care of their children. They want to make sure that the children will be able to adapt to the new environment, to live a happy life once they move their family to the US. And that's why they want to send their children as early as possible to the US, so that they will be able to adapt to the culture there and to make friends and to have a real social network. So when they grow up, they will not feel left out. So that's the third reason. And the fourth reason would say, even though there is the community, the Christian community in China is small and secretive, well, due to the discouragement, to speak the least, from the government. They're active. They are seeking all kinds of ways to practice. And we have had in the past several families who, with the help of us, went to the US so that they can practice freely in in an environment that's much more, much friendlier to their faith. That's a small fraction, though, within our clientele, but that need is real. Now, some of the experiences, as I said, coming back to the topic of language barrier, some of the ways that schools can reach out to the families, some of the more effective messaging approaches that I think will be helpful, all address on overcoming such barrier to make sure that the accurate information is being spread out and is being received by families in China. Now, I have seen some of the approaches I'm going to introduce are more effective than the others, but some are more expensive. For example, I've seen schools establish a full-time team. It doesn't have to be big. One staff member to three would be more than enough to focus entirely on international student affairs. There is one school that I know has a team of three, and all they do is to provide support on language, on culture, on logistics to international families. And the team lead spends 8 months travel internationally every year to talk to families, potential families, and current families to understand their needs, to relay messages, to relay the performance of their children, to understand the trend in different countries about their need for education, and to make friends. He comes to China twice every year and meet a dozen families every time he's here. The effect is very, I would say, it's very effective, and all the families know him personally, and there is a strong bond between the families and the school and that person on a personal level, and they all feel they've been taken care of, and they all feel included into that as a member of the community. And even when they graduate, they still try to make efforts to help the school, try to make sure that the goodwill, that the good faith have been taken care of, and their efforts are reciprocal. Now that will go to my second point, and it's very helpful to work with at least a few star families, those who are not only satisfied with the outcome, but also are willing and understand. So they feel that they are included into the community, and they feel they are a part of this family, and they feel that they can make contributions. Education is a very personal experience, and like I think it's the same at anywhere in the world, that families try to select schools on a referral basis. They not only rely on public information, they also rely on word of mouth. They want to know what their neighbors' experiences are like, and what kind of personal experience can speak to their own children. So at least within our clients, they always want to talk to those who have been to the school that they're interested in. They want to learn what their experiences are like. And with one or two star families who will serve as the ambassador, serve as the spokesperson for your school in China, will do a lot of help for prospective families to understand the experience, to feel affiliated, to feel that they could one day be like that star family and go down the same path. Now, I said that it's important for all the families to have a positive experience and to be satisfied with the outcome. Of course, the experience there, the students being incorporated, being immersed in a true American experience, to be welcome, to have friends and to be happy. That's very important. But for most Chinese families, outcome probably overwhelmingly means the students end up at a college that they are satisfied with. You will, I'm sure many of you know that the first question, or among the first few questions the Chinese families would ask, you'd say, "Oh, how does your how do your Chinese students do in college application?" It's not that they are narrow-minded. It's just that in Chinese culture, that to be able to go to a good college is probably the most important thing for high school students. Now, of course, all the other things I've mentioned are important, but the importance of college application results are not to be overlooked. The next way I think that will be helpful for schools to reach out to Chinese families is to utilize third-party online platforms. The internet is a very powerful tool. Not only does the school website do a great job in introducing the school, but if you think about how parents identify schools in the first process, they will probably rely on some of the platform websites, for example, niche, for some very basic information when they are comparing schools. And there is one platform that I would like to introduce. It's called Finding Schools in China. That is a website that started about 6 years ago. And what they do is they go to all the school websites and all the public information sources, and they translate such information into Chinese, and they help the families search on their website for schools. And the problem with that approach is that not all the information that are available on the internet are accurate and updated, and they have a small staff who do the job every year and try to keep the information updated. But most of the time, they have problems with their information. We have had conversations with the schools we have been regularly working with, and one constant topic is that they are taken aback to find out that their prospective families have been given the outdated and sometimes just grossly inaccurate information about their school, which will negatively impact their image. Not intentionally, but that certainly has a bad impact on their recruitment. So find a way to make sure that some of the information hubs on the internet have the accurate and updated information about your school, so that parents in China will not be misled. Now, targeted information presentations are what I would say the fourth where I would recommend for schools to reach out to prospective families. And the key word is targeted. The schools hold all kinds of information presentations. They invite students, they invite families to join online or offline to learn about their schools. But the key element in this is to make sure whoever show up, whoever are invited, are the ones who has the potential, who has the good fit to be at your school. China is a very big country. We have different families from different social classes with different purposes from different provinces who are seeking study opportunities overseas, and not necessarily all of them are a good fit for one particular school. And most of the time, if you do not make an effort to target the right group, you will probably end up with a group of families who will not be a good fit. And that's what I think an agent or an agency will provide the most value, not only in the application process, but before that, once you are trying to introduce yourself to your potential families, make sure once you are ready for information session to send the invitations to targeted families. And the agencies will probably have the best information about which of their clients or which of the families that they have talked to are the right fit. To that point, I would like to add one thing, that in the past few years, we've seen a growing diversity of geographies of families who are applying to schools in the US. In the first few years, when we joined this industry, the majority of applicants from China are limited to what we call the first tier cities, for example, Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, which is a tech town next to Hong Kong. And in the past 3 to 4 years, we're seeing more and more families from what we call second tier cities, and now even more so third tier cities who are applying, who are seeking the same opportunity as their counterparts in the more affluent regions in China. And that, I think, is a great opportunity for all high schools in the US to get some not only quality applicants, but also a diversity of student backgrounds, so that you will be able to enrich the student body and make sure you have access to the depth and the diversity of families in China. Now, last, I would like to talk about some of the challenges that the families in China are facing during this pandemic. Of course, the travel bans and restrictions are a big deal, and some of our families are taking extreme measures as to first fly to Dubai and to be quarantined for 2 weeks and then fly to the US. All kinds of ways have been explored just to make sure that they will have an offline experience at school in the US. That's how dedicated they are and committed. For those who have not been successful in doing that, the challenge, I think most of the parents in the US could understand, is to deal with online sessions, which is a challenge for students who are teenagers to stay focused in classes in front of a screen. On top of that, they're dealing with the time difference. Some of our students are having classes, real-time classes, after midnight. They don't go to bed until 4 a.m. in the morning. That's another layer of challenge. And parents will need to take care of their children who are taking midnight classes and they go to work. And most of all, after several months, they adapt to that. They're okay with all the logistical challenges. Most of all, the biggest challenge is the necessity or the pressure for the families to deal with the uncertainty of an political environment, of the institutional environment in the US. They are not sure whether the country will be friendly as they have been in the past to Chinese students. Will they have dramatic policy changes in terms of international students? Well, especially when they graduate in 4 years, when they apply for colleges. That's the top one question that we have been asked by our prospective families. What do you think will happen in 4 years when we apply to college? Will there be a drastic change in policies? Will we become unwelcome? That's the challenging part for them to deal with, the uncertainty. Now, if somehow through communication and the recruitment process, we can help them, rest assured, we can help them eliminate, at least as well as we can, as much as we can, such sense of uncertainty. I think it will be a very helpful peace of mind for them to hold on to. And that's my presentation. I hope it has been helpful.